second to get my bearings. So how's your day been going so far?
It's good. I am actually located in East Coast, so the Canadian fires, I guess it's in West Coast too. Like the air is getting, it's not a good quality of air right now here.
Oh man! Oh yeah. So we get that. So I'm on the I'm on the West Coast. So I'm in Seattle right now.
Oh, nice.
Actually, yeah, I'm in Seattle. So yeah, when Vancouver is on fire, we get it gets really bad up here too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I mean, do you pretty much have orange sky right now?
Yeah, like I can see the fog right now outside. Like it's not a kind of like we cannot go out kind of weather right now here. So
I see. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me get your step up and play. Where are you currently at right now?
I'm located in Washington D.C. area, Maryland. So yeah.
Oh no, I mean work-wise, or are you currently working or?
No, I'm currently not working.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Were you previously at a location, or were you previously working at somewhere, or?
Yeah, it's actually a remote one, but the office is actually located in Virginia, which is like very nearby to me. It's like almost like just 30 to 40 minutes. Whenever I used to go, that's it. Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay. And then I want to make sure I say so. How do I say your? Is it Suma?
Yes, you're right.
Suma. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so let's kind of talk about the role. What do you know about the role so far, just from the description?
So I came to know like it's a kind of security engineer role. So and I have seen like primarily about for the security problems, and then they had some infrastructure and configuration management, Terraform and Ansible. And also like and I have seen like integrate completion driven integration that has that the data from templates, and also like using like Ansible playbook.
How are you familiar with AWS and the services within AWS?
Yes, I have been using.
Well, what is the service that you know the best about? So I can ask you some questions on that.
The service like I use
S3 IAM. What is the best service that you know about?
Like Elastic Compute Cloud, S3 buckets, and also like working with S3
buckets. Let's talk about S3 buckets.
Okay, sure.
S3 buckets. So if I were to say, Suma, we have 500 S3 buckets.
Okay.
I want you, and owners are varied amongst the organization, and they're in various states of various states of being deployed. So some have been deployed by some owners, some by the infrastructure team, some by the security team. What are the key things that you're going to look at? So if I say, Suma, can you give me an inventory of the current, basically let me know what the security baseline is right now for all of the S3 buckets that we have. So let's say, again, like I said, we have 500 buckets. So what are the things that you would tell me? You would say like, hey, Brian, these are the things that I found. These are the things that I suggest. These are the things that are going to take this amount of time to probably implement. What? So what would you do? Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Or okay. So you just talking specifically about S3. What were the things that you would think about for a security baseline?
So what we can actually do is like we can write a custom script in Python, and we can actually look at multiple things in terms of application session data, and that's how it's showing how we could implement the services, and we can actually check for the scripted list, and so we can look at the customized customize the script of the data, and like in Python script, which will actually help us to list all the buckets. So we can also.
So let me make myself more clear. So I don't really necessarily care about getting the list of the buckets. I already gave you that list. You have 500 buckets. Now I want you to tell me, like, as far as what you believe are things that are a must for security and making sure that we secure these buckets. So more on the configuration set, not necessarily on how to get this information. I mean, we could definitely talk about that, if you want to, but I'm more about, you tell me what are the things that you need to go. Essentially, if you write your script, you're going to be looking for certain things. I want you to tell me what those things that you're going to be looking for, right? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. So for that, so first thing, like for security, we need, I guess, IAM permissions. And
so IAM permissions. And so you're saying we need to get those permissions?
Yeah.
Or what specific permissions would you be like? Yeah, permissions. Yeah, there's definitely permissions that you can set for a bucket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but what necessarily I mean, okay, let's just say, okay, IAM permissions is one thing. What's another thing that you would think about?
So I think like access control. We need to look for access control, encryption. Then bucket policies, and block the public access to the restricted accounts, and we can actually do logging and monitoring, monitoring continuously, like to enable S3 access logging to record the detailed information about the request.
If you do the logging and monitoring for access control, where would you put that data?
So we can actually use ELK stacks. We can actually use it in ELK stack.
You would use an ELK stack?
Yes.
And you would deploy an ELK stack.
We can also use the use CloudWatch alarms, and we can see the so basically we can see if we can manually pull the data out pull out the data periodically in the audit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what from CloudWatch alarms, and also
Okay. What's the difference between a bucket policy and an IAM policy? Or a resource policy and an IAM policy? Or is it the same?
So you're asking the difference, or
the difference?
Okay. Yeah. So resource policy, it can be used for AWS resources, and it can be used by non-user script non-users like script SNA programs, and IAM policy can be assigned to the users. So in the basically resource policy is something can be used for AWS resources, and IAM policies are that can be assigned to the users in real time. So we don't have to worry about the access keys and secret keys in runtime.
Okay. Okay. So you've got blocking public access. You talked about logging and monitoring. You talked about encryption. Okay, so you have that security baseline for that. All right. So what about IAM? So what is the security baseline for an IAM setup? So I'll give you a scenario. We've got 40. We have 40 AWS accounts, okay, and each of them have different owners. Okay, you're the security team, right? Yeah, you've got 40 AWS accounts with between 100 and 1,000 IAM users, right? And all in various states. No, and all in various states. You want to make sure that obviously this is a nightmare for anybody that's a security engineer. Because you don't really know who has access to what. So what would be your, rather than actually talking about the baseline, I would say, hey, Suma, give me what you would do in the immediate, so like within 30 days, with medium time frame, so within 60 days, and long term to establish a better security baseline for our IAM. So how would you do that? Like, what are the things that you would consider in the immediate? Let's just break it up. What would you do within the first 30 days for those 40 accounts?
So I think like for that kind of like security in application, we can actually consider the immediate runtime effects of the implications of first like actually go and look at what kind of things that can be created in the security baseline runtime. So we can go and look at what are the specific implications of security baseline. And we can actually write in so that we can go and write in temporary creations with IAM both for requesting actions, and also require multiple authentications inside that. So
how would you equate what you just said into tasks? So if I say, Suma, give me a list of the tasks that need to be created within 30 days. So what would be the first task that you need to do?
For that, first, I think the first thing is like we need to go and try to look at multi-factor authentication. So and also like looking at the party at the place, the clients, and see if we are supporting any unsupported kind of flights, and look at providing some temporary creations for that. And also looking at some of the root credentials, and see if we have any if someone is using multiple authentications, we will also apply some least privileges, privilege permissions for the IAM policy. And we can actually define actions so that we can specify some kind of permission data. So yeah, that's the first thing I'll do when if in that case.
These are all things. So let me try to make sure that, because I would be crisp and clear on the things that we were trying to address. So the first thing one of the things that we're talking immediate, which is within 30 days, is you want to look at MFA. So are you saying MFA for just the root account, MFA for the users? What is the level of, are you talking MFA for everything? What is that level of effort you're talking there?
So for users, and also for the root account, for both, not for everything, but for some of the users, and also for the root account.
Why just some of the users?
Yeah, for if we enforce for the non-user accounts, then it can be what will happen is the authentication from the command line will fail. So yeah, and it will not be a good thing for the runtime environment. So this is going to be like, which we really don't want, right? Some unlevel authentications, and also we just need to give the least privileges for all the accounts, and some of the manager accounts and root accounts we need to give MFA, and give access to them.
Okay. Okay, and then you mentioned root credentials. So root credentials, what specifically root we're saying you're going to do?
So, like, I didn't get it. Like, what?
You mentioned root credentials. Well, so are you talking like the password? Are you talking what specifically about the root credentials that you wanted to address?
So we'll be like, especially like, safeguard by the Amazon Book Potentials by like, establishing the root user password, right? Which is like having password policy. We can also configure the root user, like prevention by like, full access to the resources. So we will actually like enforce specific user in this case. So basically the password itself is like, root, what I mean is like, user password for the root account.
Okay, so establish a root password. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
So and then least privileges. How would you go about determining the least privileges for 40 accounts? Like 40 AWS accounts. How would you address that? You've got 1,000 developers.
Okay.
How are you gonna go and do least privileges? You can't just give everybody read only. Is that going to destroy production and velocity? So how would you go about, there's really, I mean, it's a hard thing to do. So that's why I'm curious how you would go about doing that.
So like, I think like, we need to like kind of do some cutoff for, like, what, like for 1,000 accounts, then I guess, in that case, like, let me think what, so firstly, like, we can actually identify the job responsibility, like what was the job, and like, we can actually use the policy conditions, like, as AWS provides, like, some policy conditions that allows you to, like, further restrict the accounts, and and then we can actually use like, managed policies, like AWS managed policies. We can actually use those managed policies, and then we have to like apply the least privileges.
Well, how would you determine? So if you were let's just say you're to use managed policies.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So you use managed policies, which are somewhat limited to a given role. How do you make sure that you don't give, like, so let's say somebody had a policy attached to them, and then you look at it and go, hey, you should use managed policy.
Okay.
And you effectively gave them more access because a managed policy is a little bit more broader. So how would you really address that? I mean, you essentially made it worse by giving them a managed policy versus using a custom policy. What are the drawbacks of doing a managed policy versus leaving it as like we currently was as the least privilege?
So I think like so for that, the managed policy, there is like, first of all, like we'll actually look at what is the requirement for the user, and then send the managed policy. Like we can actually look at the inline policy, which has like, so I can think like managed policies will actually allow us to have the customer user data, so customers can manage their policy, which is like a standard policy. And then if not, and we can also kind of we can also like some read only. We can also give some read only permissions to the pseudo users in the inline policies. So as well as if I need to, so like on backend, like wherein we have console based to provide access to the only to the users. So once you got the console which is provided on the access control data, so we can actually have the console based validation to get on the access control systems.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. So I'm just kind of going through your CV.
Okay.
So for so I see here you've got a lot of like Windows and Linux administration type work.
Yes.
If I have 850 EC2 instances that have multiple vulnerabilities on it, how do you make sure? How would you go about patching those? How would you go about remediating those machines? This is vulnerability management, right? So how would you go around patching these? Like, what would be the process you would take to patch them so that they're no longer vulnerable?
So yeah, we can just try to do some kind of like customized patching so we can actually do it using SIM of the custom management, which is done using like like custom management script, and we'll use the
what's custom management script?
So it's basically like this is a kind of Python script which could be used inside on the data points that can be used in define the entire stakeholder data, and which is released on the application systems, and so we can also get the service which are released on top of that. So it's just like a Python script, what like customized script means.
How would you get access to those 850 EC2 instances, because you don't own any of those boxes? So how would you get access to all of them?
For like we need to get the access for all those accounts.
No, access to those EC2 instances. You have access to the accounts, but those instances are across multiple different accounts with varying levels of access control. So they may use SSHP authentication versus password auth. How would you do that? You can do. There is a way that you could do it through AWS. Do you know of a way to do that through AWS?
Yeah, like for that, like we can just go and try, like give the access control to the SSH account, like with the source code, and then so with like to the source code, and deploy it and like on top of that, so that we can also go and validate it on the third party environment to SSM. So like so in this case, like we can also have some custom test team data, and which is going to determine the access control list, which can trigger the APIs. So I think on the SSL environment or Amazon Web Services, we can actually go we can actually go and give the access to the access keys. So we can use the Amazon System Manager to pull out the access key inside that and define it. So yeah.
So you'd use something like SSM to do the patching. And how would you orchestrate that? Because you don't know anything about any of those machines. So how would you go about handling that on you have different teams that own those boxes. So you can't just go and patch those boxes, right? So how would you go and do this? So what is your way to communicate this out to like the teams?
For that, like I can actually use the Amazon metadata API to pull out the data from those different boxes, and once I have all the information, then I will actually go and create a custom script. So pull it out, and so I can actually use the metadata API from Amazon to pull out all the data systems, as well as this will help us to get the service integration. So after that, we can actually set up on once this is done, then I can actually use the entire data in the customized just like scripted environment.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Mhm.
Awesome. So what questions do you have for me for the role?
So, I actually came to know about the Spire from Daniel, and I was actually quite impressed with the company what actually it is working on. So, I just wanted to know what was the role mainly. You are actually looking for the candidate, like main things in the candidate.
Yeah. The main things in a candidate is so we're looking for somebody that is somewhat in the beginning, intermediate stages of AWS knowledge and backing, right? We expect to have somebody in this role not be a senior. So this is going to be more of a growing role. A lot of the main the main duties for this role will be to assist, help implement some of the larger security initiatives that the principal and the staff engineers on staff are sort of implementing, sort of an extra pair of hands, as well as is fielding a lot of our security support requests. So we have a lot of different areas that deal with support. So, for example, elevating access through IAM, or reestablishing somebody that lost their credentials through Okta. Or updating, users or adding users via GitHub.
Okay.
Because we have so using GitHub to update our updating GitHub, running Terraform and then adding users.
Mhm.
So basically being, sort of in a role where to support our current staff, not necessarily somebody that's just doing support, but the main thing is going to be support, looking at alerts from our alerting system with respect to security type alerts. So, for example, Okta will tell you if somebody logged in from London and then 20 minutes later, that same person logged in from Chicago, it would find that and would tell you, hey, that this is suspicious. So we need somebody not a tier one, our first line of support to tell us like, hey, there's a possible security issue. So
Yeah, got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what will be the next steps?
So the next steps is typically I will sort of take my feedback and I'll hand it up to Daniel, and then Daniel will take it from there.
Okay, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other questions do you have?
Yeah, that's it. It's a hybrid role, right? Do you have any idea about the hybrid role, or is it on site every day? What?
No. So if you're in, where are you at again?
East Coast, near to Virginia. I guess the office is in
Virginia. By Tyson's Corner.
Yes.
Okay, so typically we would say, I'm okay with hybrid, I'm okay with hybrid. And to be honest, as a new person, it might be nice to be. It's a really nice office. I like it. It's Tyson's Corner.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a nice office. Very few people in there. If you're worried about a lot massive of people, that's not the case. Usually a handful of people than 10 usually. But working remote is not a problem either. I work remote entirely. There's no office here. So but that's also my reason, right? There's no office here, so I can't really go. And I try to visit the offices, already did most of the offices, I think. But I try to visit the offices, but we don't have any staff that's in any office right now. The security team doesn't have any, so it doesn't make sense theoretically for somebody like yourself to actually go in. You could utilize it. You can have the snack or whatever, but because I think bring in some food and stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah. Any others?
Yeah, I was just curious. You mentioned about the monitoring tools, right? So, what are the tools that you are currently using in Spire company?
A lot of it mainly, obviously, AWS. So the security tool sets like Security Hub, Big,
Okay.
Guard Duty. We also have work, and other security tools. Those are the primary ones right now.
Okay.
Yep. Those are the primary ones. We're trying to replace a couple of those tools, but we're running some budgeting for some of the support things. But yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. I think I'm good with the questions right now.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I think I want to know and kind of take it from there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
You too.
Right,
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks.